Today's Making Star Wars show is brought to you by Costanza, aka Bespin Bulletin. Serenity now. Hey, how's it going, Mr. Bespin? Me and Rob are happy to have you on the show.
Well, it's a long time coming, I suppose.
Yeah,
He finally wore me down, you know.
Bespin's here to justify his use of tremendous amounts of ads on his site, like just to clear all that up.
Listen, if nobody's giving me coffee, more ads get put on.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I say.
That's why like people think bandwidth's free or something. Like you fucks, man. Like Jason has to basically like he has to like Jason, you're going to that slap fight thing with your bandwidth providers, right? Like, yeah. I can't wait to watch that.
So there was people have seen the new episode of The Mandalorian, episode 2, and me and Bestino have heard a lot. He heard a lot, and we kind of pulled together, and a very nice document was drafted that I'll parse out. And we'll like get to the story beats of the second episode of season 3 of The Mandalorian. So if you don't want to know anything, you shouldn't watch this episode of the show.
I already don't know stuff. Do I want to know more stuff?
It's up to you, man. But now's the time to go if you're gonna.
Fuck it. We'll watch it live. You know?
Are you saying Serenity now? Are you saying?
I'm just gonna act aggravated and annoyed, so you know I'm busy.
Yeah, because we won't have an episode of your general grievances. If you
with my shrubbances. What's that guy's name? The Shard. The Shard. His name is Shard, right?
Sharded.
Yeah.
He sharded.
Yeah, he sharded all over.
He sharded. I was looking at that pirate today from the first episode, and I was like, oh, we could totally Photoshop this guy into a Santa Claus. We're Santa.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah, Santa's a plant now.
Yeah, he's a plant man. Oh yeah, make sure you like the video and share it, and you could give Bespin Bulletin a coffee on his coffee page.
Don't. I'll just put more ads on the site. It's all good.
You know? Or put more ads on the site. Yeah, and I'll do the same. You know, if you don't become a channel member, I'll just put more ads. I'll be like, casinos, earn big bucks, spin the wheel. I used to have this ad that would pop up that was like a malware ad that the provider couldn't control, that kept getting in there, and it was like a spin the wheel ad. It was killer. I'd have to like call them up.
Some weird ads, to be honest. You know, I'm questioning what he's looking at for the ads he's getting.
And that's the other thing is people will be like, oh, I went to your site and it gave me like dick pill ads. It's like, that's stuff you're looking up, Brad.
I remember that I had a complaint like that about my site. I'm like, well, that's it, you know?
Yeah. It's from
it shows you more of what you look at, you nitwit.
Yeah. It's nothing to do with, we're not making a deal with anybody. Wait, how is Bespin there when I'm here? Puppetry. The puppet master, you're master of puppets, like when we play Fortnite and we all play the song together.
We all don't play Fortnite.
You do.
Rob will play Fortnite.
Rob's gonna get on with us. He's just gonna show up like as RoboCop and be like, "What's going on, guys?"
It's that scene in Popeye the movie where his dad's trying to make him eat spinach. I don't want to eat spinach. What do I eat the Fortnite?
So I took the old document and just kind of like parse it out into bullet point numbers. You just want me to like hit each number, just kind of like go through and we'll just stew on a little bit. So here we go. We're gonna get started now. So if you haven't left, it's on you. So episode 2 begins on Tatooine, and it's Boonta Eve. And then, so in case you don't know what Boonta Eve is, that's that thing that the pod race. It's like the celebration on Tatooine, and that's where Anakin wins the pod race back in the day. Well, it's Boonta Eve, but it's actually Boonta Eve instead of it being the daytime, which is kind of a weird choice, right? Boonta Eve, but it's in the daytime in Phantom Menace. But this is actually
I think so.
Eve. Yeah, it's weird. Just make it Boonta Day. But so it's Boone to Eve, and then number 2, we see Ellie Moto arguing with the Rhodian, who is complaining that parts of his speeder had been stolen, but Pelly promises to get it fixed. So you kind of imagine how that goes, right? You kind of know the Pelly spiel by this point. And so once the Rhodian leaves, Jaw will show up with the parts they stole from the Rhodian speeder. It's a scam she's got going on. So they steal the parts. They go to Pelly to get the parts replaced and the speeder fixed, and she just takes the parts that they stole, puts them back on. So she's basically just sort of getting a tax almost.
It reminds me of Tika a little bit.
It is a little bit of a Tika, right? Chris, my mic is wonky. Is anybody else hearing my mic being wonky?
No, I'm not.
Okay. I think it's just you, Spreezy. But if it is being wonky, let me know. All right. And then so number 4.
Sometimes there's a little bit of that stream bubble, sound, but that's the service. There's nothing you can do about that.
Okay. Din and Grogu arrive on Tatooine, and Pelly asks if he's there to take out Boba Fett or if the Hutts have returned. So, and clearly he's not there to do either of those things. Din tells Pelly that he's looking for a memory circuit and his plan to venture to Mandalore. So the memory circuit would, of course, be IG-11, the part that he needs for IG-11, right? That's our takeaway from that. That's our through line to this encounter. And but unfortunately, Pelly doesn't have one, but she offers him R5D4. So, like in that, do we think she's just making a general sale? Like she's just like, I don't got that, but I got this guy, and he gets in your starship, or do we think that he's like, oh no, but parts from R5D4 will work in IG-11?
I think it's because of what he needs R5 for. We'll get to it, but he needs him to do a specific job on that planet.
Right.
So I think she just tells him that R5 can do the job. R5 doesn't want to go, but he takes him anyway.
R5 doesn't want to go, but Din takes the droid anyway. Is the next bullet point. And then Din leaves at night with Grogu and R5, and they look at the fireworks as they leave. So that's the moment from the trailer where we see the fireworks going off in the cockpit, and Grogu's like, fireworks are amazing. So that, makes sense. And poor R5D4, nobody wants him. So Din and company head to Mandalore, and on their travels, Din is telling Grogu he's never been there, and tells him he grew up on Concordia, and points out that planet as well as Bo's planet. So that's kind of like the scene where a little bit of exposition where we sort of get everything explained to the general audience. Like, here's what all of these places are. Here's how they connect. They're not that far from each other. And if you remember in the first episode, that not being far is important. And then the first episode, we also, what will become apparently important is he's got a couple of lessons on the ship too. So we kind of see him kind of learning how to operate the N1, right? So on Mandalore, so they fly to Mandalore, land, and on Mandalore, R5 takes an atmospheric reading, and it's confirmed that the atmosphere is not toxic. So
can anyone? No offense, but can't anyone do that? Like, did they just? Everyone just has been like, "Hey, it's a dump. We never went back."
Well, that's why I didn't like last week when they had the helmet. When the helmet goes on and it makes that little compression, like it's airtight sound, because it's like if that's the case, he could have just done that himself. But they did that in the sound design, so it's a thing. But you need a droid to do it, I guess. I don't know, but R5 does it. So you got R5, he can do it. He does it.
And the Mandos, man, they're like the Jehovah Witnesses of Star Wars. They're like, no droids. We're not using any technology. I don't know. I'm letting this one go, but you know what I mean. Like nobody could have just gone and sampled it. I don't know. It seems odd. Especially given like how we're already dealing with pirates and looters and people who scavenge across the galaxy. No one thought to go check out a place that might have hidden treasure, you know?
Well, no, they have. That's what we saw in the first episode. That Jawas are slinging stuff, so people are catching on, and
See.
that's how he knows like it's probably okay. And
right.
yeah, other people have already tested it or are starting to, and they're starting to pillage it apparently.
Right. Okay.
So it kind of makes sense that he would, I think. But anyway, Din leaves the N1, and he ventures into a cave and attempts to make his way down to the living waters. So Lake Minnetonka, if you've been following along, and that's where Din
make Wanawanga.
Yeah, Lake Wanawanga.
Yeah.
Din fights the creatures seen in the trailer that Grogu chokes. So those little Chaka, little monkey men things, you know. Din's fighting them, but Grogu doesn't choke the creature here. Now, I don't think we settled on this part, right? But we think that there's a moment where Din tells Grogu to stay in the ship. I'm gonna go check it out, and Grogu's probably back at the ship, right?
I think so. Yeah, we only know that Din is the one going through the caves at this point, and because what happens to Din, it doesn't make sense if Grogu is there.
Yeah,
he can't be there. You'd assume, right? So
right,
because where Din ends up, Grogu would end up with him.
Yeah,
so we assume he's not there.
Yeah, and then if he, so we'll get to it. Yeah, Din fights those creatures. Din descends into the mines and looks at old Mandalorian helmets before he gets caught by a beetle-looking droid of some kind. So it looks like Ringo Starr. Is that what that means? A beetle droid? Like
finally, the bull haircut arrives to Star Wars, right?
Giant bull haircut. No, does
he look like the painting? Remember who did that paint? Was it Sinkavit? Who did that painting? Was it Frazetta? The Frank Frazetta painting of Ringo? Remember?
No, I don't remember.
You had big duck lips, the blue steels.
No, it's like a
advertisement.
It's like an insect, in cases we're not clear. It's like an insect kind of droid. And the insect beetle droid drags Din to its lair and places Din in a cage. So if you're one of those weirdos on TikTok that has a boner for Mando, you got Mando in a cage. So enjoy.
Yeah, but he's got his helmet on, so
Oh,
they're not interested then.
Oh, okay. It's here with the helmet.
We need the money shot. We need the money shot. We need his beautiful face on screen at all times.
With a little ascot scarf. Anyways, the beetle drags Din to its lair and places Din into a cage. And it turns out the beetle is actually a vehicle of some kind. And a creepy creature with cybernetic hops out and begins extracting organic material from Din. So I'm guessing that means like his blood and.
Well, if it was a TikToker, they're extracting something else.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that scene from Ted with that Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's not 80 for Brady. That's a different scene, right?
That's a different movie. Unfortunately, I've watched that movie, but yeah.
80 for Brady. Din tells Grogu to get to the ship and get help. So this is why we think they're not together. I'm gonna assume he like talks into his wrist or something. And it's like, Grogu, go get help. So Grogu and R5 get in the N1, fly off, go to Bo-Katan's house. And here's the thing is we think it's Bo-Katan, it's the same place they were at before, right? Not the other place.
I think so.
Because we had that shot of the dome and the green grass and stuff in the promos that we recently had, but I'm gonna assume that's not it, that he goes back to the same thing that we got before.
Well, yes, what Grogu knows is what he's familiar with, so I assume
it's like in the ship log, probably like the last place they were before Tatooine, right?
He also made a point of like showing Grogu where Bo's planet is as they're traveling to Mandalore, so it all adds up.
Yeah, it makes sense. So Grogu and R5 go to Bo-Katan in hopes she'll rescue Din. Bo-Katan agrees and takes her ship to Mandalore with Grogu. So this is stuff we saw in the Celebration trailers. I want to say we saw like Bo-Katan like flying a ship with little Grogu sitting in it. So she goes through the caves with Grogu. So they land, they go into the cave. This is where we get lines from the trailer and where Grogu chokes the creature seen in the trailer. And you were saying you thought this was you didn't think your dad was the only Mandalorian, did you? Like that's
I assume so. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So
that's the only like line we have with her and Grogu, right? That's in the promotional material.
That comes to mind. Yeah, that's the only one I could think of.
Yeah,
so it's like, and I don't know why she's saying that to him, because they're looking at Mandalorian skulls and stuff everywhere, but why does she say it to him, you know? But yeah,
is it a little odd that I don't know, like that he just gets up in a plane and flies away and then comes back? I don't know.
He has R5D4. He flew to Tatooine from Luke's using R2D2 before, so it's Uber. It's the same as we got in the show before. This isn't something new, so it's okay.
Okay.
Well, you don't think he flew to? I mean, well, either he flew.
I would love to see him fly it. To be fair,
yeah, spinning. That's a good trick. He could do that.
It's just the I don't know. Like, it's just whatever. It's just the times, you know. Like when you think about how long it took for Luke and them to calculate to get to Tatooine to Alderaan, and now we're just flying around everywhere.
Yeah, like but this is not going from Tatooine to Alderaan. This is going from Earth to Mars. It's not a big deal for them. Right. I'm just saying it's like it's the same solar system, I think.
Okay,
that's the way I understand it anyway. And if I'm wrong, you know, he's been there for 2 years. He's been there for 11 months. I don't care. But
sometimes it feels like it took them longer to take public transportation on Bix than it is for Favreau's characters to get around entire galaxies.
Yeah.
All right.
So Bo-Katan goes through the caves with Grogu, and that's where we get the lines from the trailer. And then they get to the lair where Din is being held, and Bo fights the creature. So Bo-Katan's like, "Oh, you know, let's throw down." During the fight, Bo uses her grappling hook, you know, the one like from her wrist or whatever, that thing that shoots out, I guess, to grab the Darksaber, which Din is no longer in possession of, as he's been dispossessed by the creature. So in my opinion, she's the Darksaber owner now if she beats this guy. That guy beat Din and has the Darksaber. So she beats that guy and she takes the Darksaber. It's hers now. Because you would think like it would be a fight to the death, but Gideon didn't get killed. He got arrested.
But the creature likely isn't holding it. Is that the only like issue?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that would be a really weird stipulation, right? At that point. But I'm like of the opinion that like I'm rolling with this being how she gets it back. You know what I mean? It just seems like it would. This seems like this is what it is, and it makes sense. I'm gonna bet that after the episode airs, we'll still be somewhat debating it, with some people being like, "That's totally what it is," and some people being like, "It's not good enough," unless there's a line we don't know about where she's like, "Now I am He-Man with the Darksaber. I have the power." You know, I don't. If that moment happens, then cool, but we haven't heard about that. So Bo-Katan uses the Darksaber to fight off the creature and cuts off its head. So I'm going to say that's kind of a checkmate for it being hers too. And then, but the head sprouts cybernetic legs and scurries away onto the beetle vehicle. So this thing is some like crazy.
She didn't really beat it. This is the problem with all this. This is the problem with all this.
No problem, Rob. We're not there yet, Rob.
Okay, I'll wait.
But I will give you Superman 3. The lady from Superman 3. That's what I got in my head right now. Do you? I mean, are you hearing that? Like,
no, it just reminds me of like the the conductor, right? Who like grows legs and scurries off in the desert. Like we're doing that same gag twice.
Yeah, have the beetle sprouts cybernetic legs and scurries away into the beetle vehicle, but Bo-Katan fights and finally defeats the creature. So she murders it. Cold blood.
Cold blooded.
once Bo has defeated the creature and freed Din, she urges Din to leave. So she's like, "You're in over your head. This place isn't for you, buddy." You know, probably feeling like a badass because she got the Darksaber back. And I'm gonna throw.
I would like to know if this is where I would like to know is that context. Does she just give the Darksaber back to him? Does she keep it? Like, we don't know that part.
Yeah, because like I'm under the impression that she doesn't hand it back. Like it would seem like that would have been notable. Like she gives it back, and we haven't heard that, so it seems like she holds on to it. However, Din doesn't want to. He doesn't want to go. He's like he's made it this far and wants to continue his journey to the living waters so that he can be redeemed. Bo-Katan reluctantly agrees, and they make their way to the living waters. Once there, Din gives a speech of some kind, lines from the trailer. And so I'm wondering if that's like, our people are scattered and blah 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 blah. The stuff that he says in the VO lines that we've heard. So he removes his weapons and jetpack before making his way to the living waters and bathing in it. It's like a baptism. And
he's got his helmet on and everything during this. He's like, I did ask about seeing Pedro, and we don't.
We don't. So he keeps his helmet on.
This is something I was thinking about last night, like a missed opportunity with the opening of the first episode. The kid is in the water, right? Like instead of just a gator randomly attacking, had that been like they were trying to do like a poor man's version of the ritual of going in to get like a creature, or, you know what I mean? Like the kid had to go in the water to kill it kind of thing. Like then it could have mirrored this sort of bit,
Oh, just wait. Just wait.
Yeah. Oh, so now R5 comes in and saves his ass?
R5D4?
Yeah, he flies
out
in.
His bad motivator was the key to the whole thing. Okay. So during the bath, Din is suddenly dragged down by something we cannot see. And Bo-Katan jumps in after him. And did you ask, does she have all her clothes on? Does she keep her clothes on?
She does.
Of course.
She does.
Okay. Of course.
Stupid. Bo-Katan swims deep down and grabs Din before using her jetpack to get back to the surface as quickly as possible. So she goes in. Jetpack is their way out. On the journey back to the surface, we see that there's something tremendous in size in the living waters with our heroes. Din and Bo see a massive eye open. And it's none other than the fucking mythosaur. It doesn't say that in these notes, but it's the fucking mythosaur. It's massive in size, maybe crate dragon size, if not bigger. But it's so huge that you cannot see all of it on screen.
Does he stand there and shoot at it over and over again?
No, they just are like, "What's up?"
Right. Okay.
So they remember they see the big eye and they're like rocketing up through the water, underwater. So
the eye is like roughly the size of the two of them.
Yeah, it's a big eye. It's a big ass eyeball.
It's Big Iger.
Bob. Its name is Bob Iger. Okay. Bo and Din reach the surface and scramble back onto land and sit on some steps. Our heroes cannot believe what they've seen, and the realization that the myths were real comes over Bo-Katan's face, and the episode ends. So that's actually a pretty big revelation for Bo-Katan in the end. Like, I think what they've set up in the last 2 years, or 2 seasons of the show, is that cult are like real hard line, and that when we finally meet Bo-Katan, she's like, "You guys are fucking crazy, and you're responsible for all of the bad stuff that happened. And so in being reactionary to that, she doesn't believe most of what they're into. So with seeing this mythosaur at the end, knowing that it's real, it legitimizes some of what they're saying. And that probably is going to help bring them together, wouldn't you think?
I would think so. But in the episode as well, she does mention it's that clan and others that cause the division.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the other clans are saying, what their religion is in comparison to Bo's way. I think, like you said, this could be a way to unite them all. If they go there, the mythosaurs there. Somebody maybe defeats it, we assume Bo, and they all unite under one rule. That being the only way at that point.
Yeah.
So,
and that would line
that's
up
long term
with what we heard about, like the crusty old white dude and the crusty old dark skinned dude, who are like these clan leaders that are in opposition to one another, but then align.
Yeah, and then it's also, why is the armorer working with Bo-Katan? Like,
and why
now we know why
the
they go together
at the same
exactly.
like at the same time, like, and then they like the other question that I have now is, when the mythosaur stuff came up, it was like, yeah, they fight the mythosaur and like defeat it, but it's like, do they actually like kill it? Because I thought you brought up a pretty good thing yesterday when we were talking about that. You're like, you know what I mean? Like, do they want to kill this thing? Does it want to kill them? It pulls them down, but is it, like, it's kind of strange that it pulls them down in the water, but it also doesn't eat them. Does it
yeah,
intend
it's
to
a
kill
mythical
them?
creature as well. Like, this is the stuff of legend. Do they want to kill it?
Yeah.
Did the attack on Mandalore, is that what like awoke it? I don't know.
Rob, in post Avatar 2, can you kill a giant whale under the water? No.
Yeah, you can. But you're gonna get your arm ripped off later on. That's the whole trick.
That's fair,
bro. Like you drilled into its brain and made us fucking. I mean, camera keys are real. Let's be honest. Like, if anything, I'm like, go further, Star Wars. Go further.
The whales are fucking flying in space right now. Give them a break. They're trying.
They're trying.
They're trying.
They're trying.
No, but like in that first, I think the first episode, when we have the monster that sneaks up on everybody, like, you don't really see it coming, and then I think it's meant to make this thing look even bigger. It's meant to, like, it's relative, and now this seems even bigger. But what you were talking about a minute ago, Rob, they do eventually do that. Like, we know that from the leak that we had a long time ago, that they do eventually go for it. They go, and then we know that Bo gets mythosaur armor.
But we've already see, this is the problem with the first episode, though. We've seen how ineffective the Mandos are at killing alligators.
Well, it was a bunch of children and new initiates.
No, man, the big dude with the Gatling gun couldn't do shit.
Well, because he was having to save his boy, or whatever.
He was standing there shooting it, not doing it. I don't know. That's just the thing. Like I wish that scene and Bo. I wish that scene had mirrored this, and Mando didn't save them, but the little kid had actually done it. Like he had to do it the hard way. So you could see that these cats are like Spartan. They're a little bit more hardcore. Like
maybe.
But when Mando has to like just bail him out with the spaceship, I don't know. Like, that's where I said there's something there they're doing. I just don't think. Like, look, at the end of the day, people go, I don't care. I like it, Rob. Shut up. Like, okay, I get you, but there's a way to make that, like, pay forward later versus just being a big effects thing.
But if they could all do it, they're all Conan the Barbarian. She's Conan the Barbarian in this. In this instance, she's the chosen one, so she has to.
She's the chosen one. She probably will take her on with the Darksaber. They probably will use Mecha Grogu and the blasters to try and take on the Mythosaur, but
it's like a 20-man. It's like a 20-man raid, right?
Yeah. I think
a lot
so. And then like the question that we have is defeating it. Is it maybe just cutting off like a scale of it or something? I don't know what it. You know what I mean? I don't.
Well, she said they use the mines for making armor, right? So what if it's a legend that Mandalorian armor used to come from the Mythosaur? What if that's all they wanted for?
Right.
But because I think it's a bit much killing it, but
do they all end up getting upgrades from it? Like, is it like do they kill the creature and end up with, like everybody's gets upgrades, but hers is like heavy metal,
Yeah, but we've got a big like long-term theory for this now, knowing what happens in this episode and knowing what happens later in the season. We think, like Rob brought up scenes from the first episode, we think there's a chance something happens later on that mirrors the first episode again in those opening scenes with the gator.
Right.
You remember what we talked about?
No.
Maybe
I do. Go on. Keep going.
Like, this is just speculation. It's just a theory. This isn't anything that you and I know, but perhaps towards the end of the season, once the Mythosaur is defeated, Grogu gets given something, given the helmet, inducted into the Mandalorians, like officially.
Yeah.
Like you said, they all come under one rule, and then a Vo. I don't know.
Like, it's the ears. I'm laughing because his ears. Like, how do you? They didn't do a good job with mullet hair going under a helmet. I just wonder how the ears will work out. Do the helmets? Do they have slits in the side so the ear it can come over the ear? You know what I mean?
Well, like, how I pictured it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or his ears go down and they do like a mythosaur shape.
Or do they Iron Man it where the helmet wraps around it? Like there's something.
Yeah,
it's a little more budget, but
they'd all have to come under one ruling, right? So in this case, it'd be Bo. So me and you talked about, well, if they put a helmet on him, that defeats the objective of the moneymaker that is him. Seeing his face, his cute little face all the time.
You got to see that cute little face.
Yeah, so the ruling must be that they can take off their helmets by the end, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't. They'll sell a shit ton of toys putting a little helmet on Grogu, but I think that he'll have to remove it. Maybe there's a scene where the armor takes his off in a sign of respect or something.
Right. Or maybe if Mandalore says you can do it, then you can. Like it's was kind of my takeaway. If she's sort of our space pope or Mando Pope. She's the one who says what the new rules are,
She creates the space Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
That's why I said Jehovah's Witnesses and not the Amish. Like that's like because they're also a little hey, let's convert you. Not get out of our lawn. Don't we're building barns and shit. Like it's like, hey, join us. Unless you take that helmet off, then never join us. I don't know. They need numbers, man. Like,
and one thing that we probably didn't necessarily convey in what we just talked about was we were hearing that that spider creature is like the beetle thing is terrifying.
The thing that jumps out of it.
Yeah. It's like it's not it's not like it's freaky, and I kind of almost think the Pelimoto stuff makes sense. But that the Pelimoto stuff also sort of offsets a little bit of the freakiness of that. You know what I mean? It makes it a little bit more of like, here's something lighthearted that's going to help that go down a little bit easier. Like they tend to do that, I think. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it feels. But I haven't seen it, so I'm only guessing.
Yeah, I'm the same. I haven't seen it. That's just hearsay. But, it's pretty accurate from what we know.
Yeah.
And again, it lines up with the reactions that came out from the premiere. Some people saying they thought this season would be about one thing, being Din's redemption. It would take all season to get to that point. It seems to happen by episode 2. They're about like jump scares and a wild ending, that being the Mythosaur. Something, again, which will play a large part towards the end of the season. Which I like, by the way. I like that they've shown us IG-11 in episode 1, Mythosaur episode 2. Just little hints at what we're going to get in the future. I enjoyed that personally.
Yeah, that's what was sort of like funny about like this little the lineage of the spoilers on this one is like you're about like Mecha Grogu and then Mythosaur, and you're like, okay, so like those happen, but in your mind you're just like it happens in one episode. In one episode they go, we're going to get the Mythosaur. Here we go, and then you're like, okay. And then you're like, oh, Mecha Grogu. They just make it, and then now they have it. And it's like, and it makes sense. Okay, cool. but as we've seen, like they're setting up stuff in this these first episodes that plays throughout all 8, which I think is good though. I think it's probably going to be a tighter narrative this time, like even down to the first monster, sort of still in terms of the narrative is there to make the first look at the mythosaur better, and then obviously once everybody sees it, they'll be questioning when are they going to go back for it and how. And I'm kind of wondering if one of the missing sort of story beats for the season is going after the mythosaur something that does unite everybody. Because when you have somebody from the cult, which is Din, saying mythosaur is real, I think the armorer and Paz will believe him. And she's
you also have Bo-Katan, who's going there with Din, probably to say it's real. I watched him bathe. He was dragged on by the mythosaur.
She's the witness. She's the Jehovah's Witness.
And yeah, as a Jehovah's Witness, you need 2 witnesses to confirm a story. So
I watched him bathe. You know,
I watched. He was buck naked, but he had a helmet on, and like one of those girls on Instagram. We've all seen it. We know what I'm talking about. And so it's like
they tell you to go to a certain scene in Narcos to see Pedro's peen. You know.
Yeah, and to that I say
highly recommend.
I say Adria Arjona. There's a timestamp for that too. I say, but. Yeah, so no, but and that's where I was going though with it was that when you have somebody in the cult saying the mythosaur is real and you have somebody not in the cult saying it's real, I think that's very convincing to all of the Mandos, to Christopher Lloyd's side of things, to the dark-skinned side of the guys' side of things. Both of those people will probably get pulling together, and I'm wondering if in essence it's a really adorable fishing expedition that brings everybody together, you know. Going to get Jaws, and if it is, that's fun. I'm cool with that. If that's and I think I like what you said. I think that her having the dark saber might be the item that makes the difference in that fight against the mythosaur in the final episode.
It's probably stuff of legends, right? Whoever has the dark saber and defeats the mythosaur, or can at least get a scale off of it, is the true ruler of Mandalore.
Right.
That will probably be the thing that unites all the clans, which I think is a great idea. Personally, I'm on board with it.
Yeah, because if it's like the only thing that they got that could realistically like cut off a scale, then that would make sense for her getting her armor and proving I'm the one. And then, but if they collectively kill it and she delivers, let's say, like the death blow because of the dark saber, then I'm going to say they all, it's like the Oprah moment. You get mythosaur armor, you get mythosaur armor. Everybody gets mythosaur armor who's in the audience that day. Maybe, but yeah, I mean, but it sounds like it's going to be an exciting episode. Is what I'm glad, because I liked the first episode a lot. I thought the first episode really did set up the season well, and it was.
When you give it an 8, and you don't give anything an 8.
Yeah, I give it an 8, and I've watched it 3 times, and I don't dislike it more. Like we were talking about recency bias on the show, and that fades pretty quick if you keep rewatching something. And I've seen it 3 times now, and I'm not getting mad at it. It's things aren't really pissing me off. I would agree that the writing itself is a bit cheesy.
I gotta tell you, man, like something about Favreau post-pandemic is, I don't know. I'm not as enamored with it as I was before, So it's not Andor. This is before Andor.
Yeah, I'm going to subscribe one viewing session of The Rise of Skywalker, and I'll see you in the morning. You'll be cured. You'll be like, "Oh, this is great."
I didn't say it was horrible.
I'm kidding.
Look,
I'm just
kidding. And by the way, and just because you throw a Babu Frick in it, don't solve all your problems, right? Just frick it out, right? You don't like Ant-Man Quantumania? Just throw a Babu Frick in there. Fuck it, they own it. Like they can do whatever they want.
And Tom,
like, whatever.
I still haven't seen that, by the way. So
you're not missing anything. So look, I don't hate it. I told you, I think what it is when I think of enemies You know, I'm not saying things have to be violent, and I'm not saying they can't be fun, but it's like I'm confused about the tone of the enemies that Favreau's created since Book of Boba Fett. Like Nicktoon gangs, the only time any of those Nicktoons were even remotely threatening was in the Pong bar, right? With what's his face and what's her face from episode 4. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they were kind of like threatening, right? But then they're not threatening. The Pikes, look, you know, I'm not a fan of the Bad Batch, but the Pikes that I saw in the Bad Batch were way more threatening than the ones in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, it's like stormtroopers from A New Hope versus stormtroopers from like something like Andor. You know, it's like on this one you just got to roll with the genre piece.
And so on this one, like if they're supposed to be like humorous, they keep trying to kill Mando, but they can't. I get it. Then just at least give them alien voices, because, you know, if there's anything we've learned from the prequels, it's just alien voices sound better 9 times out of 10 over human voices.
Yeah.
So, like, just give, because the voice work on it's just, I go, well, it's a kid show now. I'll grunt through it. You know, I like a lot of the other stuff, man. I like a lot of it. You know, it's not horrible. I'm not nitpicking. I'm just trying the standard that it had before. Like if you think, I don't know, like I get sometimes stormtroopers can be stupid, sometimes they can be threatening, but within the same episode they have to be consistent in the tone that's being presented. If you have the Bill Burr episode of Mando season 2, in that episode, if you had derpy stormtroopers clunking into one another, it throws off the tone of that episode. Not saying they can't do it later. It's just that particular episode. It's odd. So
yeah. But this is the series or the season where all of that Mandalorian lore stuff that I roll and that you defend is coming to roost. You know what I mean? This is where the Klingons come home. It's where Star Wars gets its Klingon season.
My favorite Klingon line. My favorite Klingon line ever is when Worf says they killed their gods because they weren't useful anymore. I was like, yes, fuck religion, yes.
And Star Wars says Peli is in chapter 18, right? Yeah. This is in the beginning of this episode that we just talked about. It starts with her.
Imagine if Sebulba spoke like in a British accent. That would have been horrible. Like
the gremlin from Gremlins 2?
The brain gremlin.
Yeah.
What we really want, Anakin, is to defeat the belief all the time. Little humans should not be playing. Like, all right, okay. Mm-hmm. By the way, the brain gremlin in the Gremlins 2 novelization, I think narrates. It's really good. They go even further with the brain gremlin in the novelization.
Yeah. So they wait. Does he write the whole book, or just like his? Like
I can't remember. It's been 30 years, but I just remember the brain gremlin went even further. Yeah. I think it's the scene that, you know, the movie theater scene when Hulk Hogan shows up.
Yeah.
In the book, it's the narrator's the brain gremlin or something. Like it flips. Like they changed it for the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Super good.
I like it. Yeah. Star Wars Santa says, I don't just haunt Rob in his dreams. Oh, he said that because Meg says the Phantom Menace lives in Rob's mind rent-free, haunting him every night. Santa too.
I think it's the best out of all 3 of those prequels, and it's shot on film.
True. So. Baymax says the alien subtitles is part of the Star Wars DNA. They need to keep doing that instead of comedy voices like in Kenobi.
Yes. Thank you, Baymax. See, we agree.
Yeah,
we agree. Yeah. Because look, the visual effects are great. The acting's pretty good. Like 9 out of 10. You know, Grief Karga's a little. You know, sometimes I don't know where they're going with this character. You know, like it's not Carl Weathers. It's just sometimes I'm like, is he talking to him as a buddy or as I don't know. It's just odd.
You know, he's a bit of a shyster still.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I get it. But
Lando thing.
It's fine. It's just the Paley Moto I can't really stand, but we all know I'm in the minority on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't like Paley Moto either. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I can't fucking stand her. But I just think like when I think of like the way they've been treating villains, remember, was it the first season with the jailbreak episode with Clancy Brown as the devil dude and
Downtown Clancy Brown?
Yeah. Tonks, which by the way, my wife agrees. If Tonks ever wanted to marry me, I'm free to leave my wife for Tonks. So
today we were talking about Moaning Myrtle, who's the voice of the little Babu Frick, and I'm like,
whatever excuse you need.
Moaning Myrtle is kind of hot. I don't know.
I'm a Tonks guy. So they, as a crew, were more threatening to me than these pirates. Like these are just goofs, and so
see,
I don't know.
I hated those lot. I that's my least favorite episode of The Mandalorian. I'd rather, what's the other guy's name? I can't remember his name. The guy everybody hated in the Dave Filoni episode. You know about?
Oh, the pirate, the young Han Solo kid.
The young Han Solo kid. Everybody hates that episode. No, for me it's the other one.
But he dies.
Doesn't
so
work.
That pays off. No, the worst episode. Look, we can all agree. The worst episode of Mandalorian is the first episode of Cara Dune. That didn't do anyone any favors. It didn't do her any favors.
But it did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I was like, oh my god, I know that.
Didn't do anyone any favors that episode. So
it gets good when the ATST shows up, though.
That's right, and it looked just like the concept art. But that scene in the Ewok bar is not good. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, we're back to. Oh no, it looks like holiday. It looked like a HD version of the holiday special. That bar. It wasn't. Then the waitress, that was not good. So that's the lowest of the lows for me. But I just I'm not saying every villain needs to be threatening, but if you're gonna have cartoony aliens, give them the alien voice. It'll play better. The hokey dokey, like Freetown's, like that shit. Stop with the Freetown. We're Freetown. Okay,
no, that's Freetown, bro. You don't go against Freetown.
Whoa, prospecting over there, Kenobi. Like it's just like don't Yosemite Sam Star Wars.
If this pirate king, I can't remember his name, something Shand, right, or wherever.
Shard.
But Shard. That's what I remember. Shard. So, yeah. If he is the villain of the scouting crew, does that make things very easier to digest because he's going to be going up against kids?
No, it makes it worse for me. I'm like, you need the Fratellis would cut Chunk's tongue out. The Fratellis were killing people in Goonies. So if you're going for Amblin, they did.
They were bumbling fucking jackasses.
No, he faked his fucking death with the hanging, busted out of prison.
After that, they're clowns, dude.
Yeah, the last bit on the pirate ship was bullshit. Okay.
Well, I'm with you though. You are afraid of them because they do make like serious threats. Like they do, but it's a mixture of the two things.
And and Chunk is stuck in a freezer with a dead guy, like a legitimate falls off. These pirates ate the Fratellis, like These are more like
kid is Chunk,
He just wanted that ice cream, but but I think like you have to have a mixture of the two things. You have to have the threats seem viable, but then they can't be so threatening that they don't belong in something that's aimed at.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. This is a very difficult thing to play, and I would say side on them being a little more dangerous than corny because you can always pull it back. But when you go goof because you're afraid of scaring the kids. Man, it's Star Wars. We've already seen Anakin Skywalker cut down children. I don't know. Like it's just weird. Even in the Mando series, we see Mando hacking dudes in half with the Darksaber. So like when Mando on Boba Fett episode 6 is Darksaber dudes, in that freezer, been like these pirates. I don't know, man. It's another series to me.
But exactly that's exactly where we're going with it though. Is if it's about launching that series, that explains it.
I gotta tell you right now, if that's the tone of the series, I'm not interested. So
yeah, I told Jason ages ago. Somebody who I knew who worked on it said it's think more Boba Fett than Mando. So
yeah,
there's that.
I really like the director. It was really fucking me up a bit, because Cop Car is great and the Spider-Man movies are fantastic, and I love the tone of those. But like, when Star Wars veers, I'm a broken record, but when Star Wars veers into campy kiddie land, I mean, you can say what you want, and then I'm like, all right, but then make a campy kiddie cartoon. That's what the Bad Batch is for. You got a campy kiddie cartoon. Make something more PG-13 with Star Wars, and that's fine. Yeah. But And let's be honest, if Goonies came out today, it'd be PG-13. It wouldn't be a PG film. Like,
well, I would never want Jabba the Hutt's Tatooine and the Lars Homestead's Tatooine in the same episode. Like, that's what Boba Fett does, and that's where I find
that's what I'm talking about.
That's where I find it kind of like, that's where it does offend me. And so as long as they can show those dimensions, they just can't have them the friction too close.
So if we have
together.
a scale of Tatooines, let's say we got a Tatooine scale here. We
North
need to develop
Pole,
this.
where Santa's at, and a South Pole.
On the far left, the good side. I'm angry in Santa right now. But like, we got episode 4, Lars Homestead. You burn them alive, burn them alive and leave them on the front door to let everyone know fucking Tatooine, right?
Hacking side,
people. We cut people's arms off with the lightsaber and there's blood everywhere, right? Right. That's the fucking Tatooine, right? Then in the middle, you got Return of the Jedi Jabba's palace, where it's got some menagerie, some goofy aliens, but we still eat Gamorreans alive. The Rancor still tears people up, and when they torture droids, right? So, but it's not as you don't smell the burnt dog hair, like you don't char up people alive, and there's no blood. And then on the right side, you got the special edition Return of the Jedi Yuzum insert, Jedi rocks. Yeah. Where you're like, just say whatever the fuck this is needs to stop. Like this is nothing good will come of this path for Star Wars. Don't do it. Don't. That's not a good idea.
I think George Lucas's conception of here's the Western and then here's gluttony. That was sort of like for Tatooine. He just kind of saw it like, and that's how he saw it. And the people making it today are free to like pull on those chords however they want, and but that's where I get like, like we were saying, like Andor isn't doing that kind of stuff. Andor is not all of a sudden having like a Yuzum walking down the street of Ferrix. It's like this just doesn't fit the tone. And but with Mando, where we keep talking about like it's action figure Star Wars. Even last night, I was watching Jimmy Kimmel. Was it last night or the night before? And Jon Favreau's the guest, and he brings like an action figure of Jimmy Kimmel in carbonite, and they have his Paz Vizsla figure, and he's like talking about how we could play. And he literally says in the interview, like, yeah, that's what it's like making the show for me. I get to play with my figures. He didn't say that. That wasn't a quote, but that's basically what he said.
Cut to Spaceballs. You didn't walk in playing with your dolls again, sir. I didn't see you playing with your dolls. Hey, good leave. Oh, Darth Helmet, it's so big. Right?
Yeah.
It's my favorite scene in
Paz Vizsla, you have a son now? You must have had sex.
We just want to drink into school. What would they have done? They would have gone into the fucking school, and then there's no beer there. Yeah. What are you supposed to do? Like, I get the idea of it, and I get what they're going for, but that's where I'm like, the writing needed another pass or a second writer. It needed another bit.
That's why. What do you think, Bespin? Are you? I mean, you were the one who presented the idea to me that like that school could be the school that Jude Law teaches in, right?
I can't even think at the moment because I'm thinking of Paz Vizsla fucking with just a helmet on. That is all he's wearing now.
That big old fucking belly. He's like,
big old belly, just a helmet.
Yeah. He's got the rangefinder down. He's like, yeah, I see titties. Oh, sorry. But the rangefinder, you get a bigger look at titties.
For me, like yesterday, kind of sold me on Skeleton Crew. The tone of the pirates and the vibe of Navarro, that kind of sold me on it. But I can see Rob's issue with it. Like that works for that show. Again, it sold me on that show. In this, it could be considered silly, too silly for this series.
Well, think about it this way, Bespin, and Jason brought this up to me yesterday, and I thought that was it was off air, but it was a really great point. Was Jabba the Hutt, when he's in Return of the Jedi, sounds cool. The way he speaks, the Hutties, the sound design, right? But Jabba the Hutt, when he's a fat Irish dude or something, or English guy, and he's just got that human voice, right?
Duncan,
right? And the cut.
Duncan,
hey, Mabuki. Right? When it's Hutties, it's one thing, but when it's English, you're like, it don't work. Yeah, it don't work. It don't work, man. It doesn't work. And I've heard I've heard it said from people Lucasfilm or Lucasfilm adjacent, right? Put it that way. That they're like, well, we don't want people. I fucking hate that. I just can't stand. That's not Star Wars. All right. Sorry, it's too. Thing. It's too. Don't shit on Swamp Thing. Like it's USA Today's Swamp Thing series, maybe.
I think it's rad.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not. This is bad episode 2 and 3. Like, to me, this is Techno Union nonsense for me, man.
But then again,
dude, are you talking shit on Techno Union now? God damn it! Wat Tempor's fucking cool as shit.
I can't. This is it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
What do you think happens?
I can't wait
to
watch this show.
I really wish they would just let the Jim Henson Company design this kind of stuff, and then they'll work it out. Like, at least, I don't know. There's something. Modern concept artists, they don't have it, but when you're used to building things tactily, it's different. When they do it all digitally, it has a different feel. I don't know how to describe it.
This guy's not digital, he's a puppet.
I know, but they design things digitally. They don't I'm not getting into it. Like, it's just,
yeah.
I
don't know. Like
let's put it that way.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying this creature. Some of the times, Neil Scanlon actually just kind of goes to town. And then they go, I'll take it. Like, I don't think Neil Scanlon designs a lot of the stuff. I think a lot of stuff he does practical first, and then they take it from there. A lot of the stuff that they were taking for instance, like, remember Baba Joe? I think Baba Joe was actually, like, that whole thing was created from the Henson people for Labyrinth, for the lady, you know. So, like, there was, like, a lot of stuff that they were trying to bring back, but I know what you mean, though. You're saying, like, when ILM, like, designs it and makes it, and then Scanlon makes what they pitch. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, and look, man, I think what I'm just saying at the end of the day is whoever thought this was a good idea, Rob doesn't agree with.
Yeah,
I can see how they gave him red eyes, and then they put these pops of red over. I can see the concept art design. What I'm not seeing is the story. It's not a consistent story on this ship with these pirates or anything else. It's a bunch of hodgepodge, and the colors are way sad. Look, it looks. If you love the prequels, if I told you that was a cut scene from Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, you'd believe me. All right, and look, that may be your thing. You may love it. I'm telling you, that ain't my thing. That's the worst parts of the prequels for me. That's the part where I'm like, just don't do it again.
The only thing I don't like is, like, I don't really like I mean, to be critical, the boots and the pants are a little too fresh.
And didn't we do this with the Yuvon Zon with plant people? Wasn't they plant, or was it the Rogue Planet? Was something about?
I don't know.
Rogue Planet might have been the planet. And I don't care. Like, I love big Muppets and puppets, but this execution, it's like a first pass that became a final pass for me. Like,
yeah, I like I said, I could have used a little bit more lived in look on the clothes. You know what I mean? Like on the corduroys. He's like fucking just wearing, like, some guy's corduroys from the 90s. But
you think he rubs his fingernails across them all day too? Like, he's got that corduroy tick.
But whenever I think about this fucker chasing around the elephant kid from a Max Rebo kid and stuff, and going after him, I'm like, you know, I'm on board with it.
Yeah, that's what sells me on it. But again, it's the tone of that show is what we're imagining based off of this, and that's just a theory. You know, it might not be these pirates. It might be something else, but for me it works. But I can see why it doesn't work for Rob in the context of the show. Like, it is silly. Like Rob gave the example earlier of, you know, you've got the New Hope Tatooine, you've got the Jedi Rocks Tatooine. You know,
yeah.
Mando is sort of in the middle, but obviously Skeleton Crew is going to lean more towards the kid side of things. So I can understand why it stand out for him. But for me, it didn't really bother me. But
and if you're invoking Stranger Things, right, with this guy, you need to chill. You need to chill with that. This dude would get murdered in 3 seconds in the world of Stranger Things.
But no, they're invoking Amblin, and this motherfucker would show up in something like Explorers.
The worst, and that's the bad part of the Explorers. The big rubber aliens at the end is the worst part. I just turned the movie off. Like, I cut right to the end when they're flying in the dreams. I just pretended, I don't know, I blacked out what happened.
Okay, well, I'm going to call up Lucasfilm and tell them about Rob's specific take on Amblin. But I mean, it fits, man.
Look, Joe Dante was on Tarantino's podcast like 3 weeks ago. I'd be happy to complain to Joe Dante about the ending to Explorers. What were you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, it's like there's always Star Wars is full of eccentricities, and I roll with it.
I know you do. But this, I bow out.
But
I'm out. I'm gonna.
But I'm not like, oh, they put a kid in space and it's all about learning what a family is. That's where I'm like, fuck off. I'm bored now. Like if you're
unless you hire Vin Diesel, then that series sells.
Oh, that's the fam. That's learning to be the fam. That's different than the family, right?
Yeah, me familiar. Yeah.
Okay. But
it's Han Diesel.
Han Diesel.
They'll do it. There's too many. There's Hondos and Hansels and all sorts of fucking similar names now. Like,
get a Hando.
Yeah.
That sounds different.
Believe
like a whole
me.
Different thing. A Hando.
Hey.
KG says the Grinch went to Star Wars Galaxy and grown a nasty beard. It looks a little grinchy, doesn't it? But
not good.
But
Ron Howard's like, I could do it. I can direct an episode. Like, no, don't.
well, we did it, guys. We did an hour. We spoiled Star Wars.
Yay! That's my favorite part of the show when we spoil Star Wars.
Good work, Bespin.
Good work, Bespin.
Good work, Mr. Bespin. And everybody should go give Bespin Bulletin a coffee when you go to bestmanbulletin.com. Click on any article, there'll be the link there, and you could give him a coffee, and you can become a channel member to the show. You want to support this show, or you become a Patreon supporter. All of it, it's always appreciated. You can like the video and share it. If you can't contribute, it's appreciated. But sharing the show is also appreciated. And
wishlist Berserk Boys on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a video game that I was a part of. Indie video game. They're self-publishing. They got a new Steam page. I got to get like a QR code back here for this sort of thing. But if you go to twitter.com/BerserkBoy, you can get a link to their Steam page. And the reason why I asked that versus going to Steam and typing in Berserk Boy is the previous publishers won't give us our page back. So we got a new page. And so we got to rebuild the Steam, the wish list. So super appreciate it. It mean a lot to Rob. Even if you hate me, love the game. It's brilliant. A lot of great people worked on it. And if you like T-Lubs, you like Sonic Mania, the music, T-Lubs is doing all the music. So buy it for T-Lubs. Like that new Turtles game, he did that too. So T-Lubs is a genius. So.
Oh yeah, I did like it. It was good.
Yeah, he's super good.
Me and the kids beat it like in one day because we liked it that much. We just sat there and played through it. It was a good time. All right, well, thank you for hanging out with us today, Mr. Bespin. And I'll see you on Fortnite in a bit if you're around.
You will, and I hope Rob is with you.
Yeah, Rob needs to get an Xbox. Once Rob gets an Xbox, come on, Rob. Come on.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
You could be the pirate from Skeleton Crew. It'd be fun.
Stop making me look at this. You're making it worse. I'm hating it more every time I look up. I'm like, oh fuck, it won't go away.
Yeah.
I don't
want about this.
It's not my thing. I just can't. I just can't do it. He's got to get his own song, Jason. He's got to get his own song.
Spinach Man, Spinach Man, Spinach Man.
Does whatever a spinach man can.
But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tomorrow's Friday, right? I think tomorrow's Friday. And talking about Star Wars stuff. And go to bestspinbulletin.com for daily Star Wars news and all that jazz. And he has a podcast called The Bob Podcast, which stands for Bespin's Other Bits. And you could get Last of Us stuff right now is on there and shit.
Yeah, we're reviewing The Last of Us week to week, but it's just normal Star Wars news at the moment. Me and Nick put out an episode yesterday. Bob the Podcast, and it's awful. So it's up to you if you want to listen to me. Yeah.
Listen to him. It's good. And you can listen to like Nick and just agree with Nick in the comments, no matter what. Though,
never agree with Nick.
Don't let Bespin know that you might agree with him, but agree with Nick, so that way Nick gets really full of himself and goes even harder. That's my hope. That's my hope for the future of the show. But all right, everybody, we'll see everybody tomorrow, and make sure you like the video. See you guys later. Thanks, guys.